What is up, everybody? What is going on? Welcome to our Sixers post-game live. Today we are reacting to the Sixers versus Knicks. The Sixers got the L here, 103-96. What a game. What fight we saw from the Philadelphia 76ers, minus a lot of players. Joining us is my man, Tiago. He is at T-Scabby. What's up, Tiago?
What's up, Chris? I don't know how confident I would be if I was a Knicks fan after tonight. That is it's not a good look, man. And they're supposed to be one of the best teams in the East. They looked terrible against Cleveland last night. They almost got beat by the G League Sixers. So it was an awesome game, I thought, from the Sixers. They showed some big-time fight.
All right. And then we got my man, Justin. He is at J_Persichetti. What's up, Justin?
What is up, boys? Sorry I was running a little bit late, but I'm excited to join you. Guys, I loved that game. I'm not going to lie. Like, that game was really, really fun, even though it ended up being a loss. The Sixers' depth, and I just tweeted this out, is ridiculous. Like, Sixers fans should have nothing to complain about in this game. They just didn't hit shots tonight. It's as simple as that. The Sixers are hitting their open shots, and they had a lot of them. They win this game, in my opinion. They shot just below 40% from the field tonight, and that is not typical of this team. And so I don't expect that to be like trending in the right direction. I don't expect that to be trending in this direction for a long time. And Maxey had his first cool down when it came to efficiency from the field. So I think the combination of your leading guard not having the most efficient night and your role players not shooting at the highest percentage either.
Guys, if you guys are watching this live, please be sure to comment, ask questions, give us your overall take and reaction to the game. Always be sure to like this video so you can help us out. Let's get into it. I mean, this was like, I don't know what it is, like death taxes and just sucking versus the Knicks in that second quarter. Because the Knicks, again, the Sixers, just like their first matchup in October, got completely run off the court. In that second quarter, the Knicks had a 58-44 lead at the half. Other than Furkan Korkmaz, who at one point had 8 straight points and 16 at the half, you just look at how the Sixers they just, like you said, Justin, like everything seemed to rim out again and again and again. In the last 2 second quarters versus New York, the Knicks are shooting 24-42, 11 of 19 from 3, and are a plus 30. The Sixers only had 9 assists and only 6 turnovers. And you look at how this team has played lately, that has not been the case. Sure enough, the Sixers came out firing in this third quarter. They started chipping away. You had back-to-back three-pointers by Danny Green. You cut the lead to 5. You had Andre Drummond literally being all over the court, rebounding, blocking shots, assists, a 20-8 run. Drummond had 3 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks in the third quarter alone. And the Sixers held the Knicks 5 of 20 from the field in the third quarter and 5 turnovers, 2 of 10 from 3. They outscored the Knicks by 9 in that third quarter. And then, man, this was a game until Julius Randle went freaking off with just like 4 minutes remaining and had 10 points in a 3-minute span. That is the game. Julius Randle just took this game over. Lead us off, Tiago. What's one of your takeaways?
I mean, there are a lot of takeaways, particularly in the second half. I thought one of the reasons why the Sixers were able to stay in the game amidst their poor shooting, which is going to regress throughout the year. The Sixers have been shooting lights out for most of the year, and that's going to regress a little bit over the season, which is perfectly normal. So, between the shooting being cold and you're missing all your best players, I thought that obviously Drummond put on a performance for the ages, no questions about it. I mean, the guy played his heart out that game, man. I mean, I was in awe by like how physically in shape that he is, because he was doing on both ends. Like, he was covering to rim protect and just fighting his ass on the glass on both ends, and like he never slowed down. So mad props to him for having been such a great shape and being such a positive influence throughout the game. But I thought that the way that the Sixers got back into the game was a couple things. First of all, like, they're continually the good trend of not turning the ball over. Now, they did a little bit of that in the fourth quarter, but in that third quarter, they went clean, 0 turnover. So that's one way to maximize your possessions. And that's been a good trend throughout the whole year. And then the second thing is just their defense. Like, their help defense was really, really good in that third quarter. Like, Maxey made a couple great plays off the ball. Obviously, Drummond as a weak side rim protector was phenomenal. And they just got, their rotations were spot on. So that's how they got their flow in the game and got their bearings under them. I am a little curious to why Doc did not want to throw Paul Reed on Julius a couple minutes just to see if that size made an impact. But you're kind of picking at the low hanging fruit here. So yeah, that's kind of how I saw the game play out, at least.
All right, I am looking at Andre Drummond's rebound career high. I am in legit 2018, and he has no games over 25. So, Justin, respond after that. I'm going to keep looking at Andre Drummond's career high in rebounds. What was one of your takes, man?
Yeah, I think one of my big takeaways was honestly just the aggressiveness of this team in general. I haven't watched the Sixers basketball for as long as I know Dibes has, and I'm sure as long as Tiago has either. And
too long.
I personally have not. I personally have not seen a Sixers team battle as hard as this one does since I've been watching. Just the effort they give on defense and the effort that is given on offense, honestly, too. Andre Drummond is easily, unless you want to call Rashawn Holmes like the best backup center Embiid's ever had, Andre Drummond is without a doubt the best backup center that the Sixers have ever had on this team. Because he's not a backup. It's as simple as that. He is a starting center in this league, in my opinion.
Yeah, here's one of the best plays from Andre Drummond. It didn't even do anything other than a couple rebounds, but you can see him just
the fight,
the paint.
Man. The fight.
Own the paint, man.
He's pushing Taj off the rim, and Taj is a good rebounder. He's just pushing him off the rim.
Like 2015, November 8th, 2015, Andre Drummond had a 29 and 27 game. That was the best rebounding game since tonight, which is pretty freaking cool. But yeah, I mean, Andre Drummond has been terrific. He was amazing in that game without Joel Embiid against the Portland Trailblazers when he was just unbelievable, impacting the game. He had 5 steals, he had 7 assists, not just rebounds. Andre Drummond had 2 amazing blocks in that third quarter that got the Sixers back in this game. So let's keep it going, man. Tiago, any other takeaways before player of the game?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at overall the game itself, I didn't think Shake had a very good fourth quarter, and I thought that was one of the reasons why they eventually fell flat. I thought that when the ball got to him, like late in the shot clock, it really got stuck, and I thought the Sixers had a really tough time creating with him on the ball, and I think Doc saw the same thing because he put in Korkmaz late in the game. I mean, the shots weren't falling. I thought that, having Danny Green back in that second half and finally contribute offensively can be a positive moving forward. Again, without Embiid, I think one of the most critical things that the Sixers miss with Embiid is a guy who can slow down team runs, right? So we talk about in the second quarter, Knicks going on a major run. The Sixers don't really have that guy to kind of slow the game down, get fouled, get to the line, or hit a couple tough buckets. So it's going to be interesting to see how they manage that because they're going to be playing some very, very tough teams coming up, and it's very likely they're going to be enduring some big-time runs. And, today it was a little bit of Korkmaz with the shot making in the second quarter, but I'm a little bit concerned about how they're going to slow teams down, and that was definitely a problem tonight.
Just like we've said over and over, the Sixers just weren't able to nail down the shots. They shot 3 of 10 from 3, whereas the Knicks were like 5 of 10 in this fourth quarter. This is a shot chart of the Sixers' fourth quarter. So they got the job done in the paint, but they really struggled anywhere else.
Just one more point on that, Chris, because I noted that on my game notes as well. If you look at that green, that's 6 out of 8, 2 out of 4. The Knicks started the fourth quarter with Obi Toppin at the 5. And that was a disaster. And I felt that the Sixers could have taken more advantage out of that. I thought that they settled on a couple shots from the 3-point line where you could clearly see Niang was taking him to the rack every single time. They didn't have Mitchell Robinson today. Noel got hurt at halftime. So they were also shorthanded at the 5. And I thought that the Sixers left some points on the table in that fourth quarter when it was clearly Toppin could not play the 5. He was a disaster.
The one thing I'll say with that, though, is that I understand what the Sixers were trying to do. In their mind, they don't have as many dominant post guys and they probably want to let Andre focus on defense and rebounding a lot more that they want to have him focus on creating offense for himself down low. So I kind of understand what they're trying to do when it came to shooting a lot of threes and putting up a lot of shots from the outside, because I think that's what their strong suit is right now when you don't have guys like Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid on the floor. And I do want to bring that up as well. Like Sixers fans really need to think about the fact that their team is now 8-3, but in the top of the East without their 3 max players. Like they're playing with all guys that are making below $15 million.
Mm-hmm.
Like that doesn't happen. That's not a thing typically.
And
3 max players down.
And to your point, Justin, like Sixers fans may have to be okay with this team being 8-8 next week, which is not going to be an indictment at all on who they are as a team.
Yeah, no.
If you look at their schedule, they have a West Coast trip. They're probably going to be playing without Embiid, likely Tobias Harris. It is going to be very tough to win a game, period. But again, you have to endure the stretch. It's going to be a tough stretch, and hopefully they come out of it in good shape. But nothing you've seen so far from this team in the last 2 weeks leads you to think that they're not going to be highly, highly competitive this year from the fight that we talked about it. And like I said, Justin mentioned.
Let's get some quick comments before I go into player of the game. Erkan says, since we didn't have a post-game show after the Bulls game, do we want to touch on the Bulls game, which was the Joel Embiid show, right? Like that was him just dominating that fourth quarter. Any quick takes on that was Saturday night's game, correct?
Yeah, that was Korkmaz going off for
Korkmaz got 25 or 26, something like that.
Yeah. We had like 7 of 9 from 3-point range. Just again, another amazing game from Furkan this season. Mr. Swagoo, that is fantastic, says Shake Milton looks lost in his role. He's been okay so far. He's been okay.
I think he looks lost. I just think he's missing shots. I don't think he looks exactly lost.
Yeah, that's a bit of a stretch.
Thiago seems to disagree though with the face on him right now.
Listen, man, Shake is a good player. He has a role in this team. I'm not sure that his role is running the point guard.
You're lying through your teeth right now. Shake's a good player.
I'm trying. I'm trying to be nice here. Doc season as a point guard, and you see it late in games. It is the contrast between him and Maxey, attacking downhill, creating space, putting defense in conflict is night and day.
Can I be honest? I don't think Doc sees him as a point guard as much as he did last year. I think he sees him as a necessity right now at point guard because there's not many others that can play it. Realistically, I think he knows Shake is not a point guard on a high-level basketball team.
Yeah. No,
what makes you think that? He's going to start
the fact because there's who else are you going to play right there? Realistically, think about
Maxey.
And he has been.
But what do you think is going to happen when you get the full roster? I think he's going to move.
When you get the full roster, I don't think he's going to be a point guard when you get a full roster because at some point they're going to trade Ben Simmons for somebody. I truly don't believe that he thinks he is that guy as a point guard. There's a reason they brought in George Hill last year. There's a reason Tyrese Maxey is the starting point guard and has stayed the starting point guard since Shake Milton came back. It just nothing to me points like last season. Yes, I think you could say Doc really wanted him to be that guard, but I think he showed him that he's not, at least right now.
Yep. Erkan says Tyrese Maxey's game IQ is below 0. This team is missing Ben Simmons. Tyrese Maxey didn't have his best offensive game tonight, but he still had 16 points. He was still a +5. In the game 1 against New York in October, he held Kemba Walker to 0 points, 0-6 from the floor. You look at tonight, Tyrese was his primary defender. Kemba only finished with 3 of 9 from the floor, 1 of 6 from 3. And he was a -2. So, and I'm going to look at the stats when they come out tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
That's something I'm definitely interested to see that because I know you typically post the matchups not only on the YouTube but on your own Twitter individually. I'm very excited to see what who Tyrese was matched up on, what the exact numbers are, because the fact that Kemba had the type of game that he had today in comparison to what it did last game, because last game Kemba was the one who went off, and Julius Randle was held pretty well by I don't know if Tobias was playing in that game, but I know that Randle did not have a good outing last game.
And that's a good point. Like the Sixers really missed Tobias Harris tonight for the reason that Justin mentioned. Like Tobias usually does a pretty good job on Randall defensively. I mean, not like all world or anything like that, but you notice Tobias' size impacting Randall. And there was nobody on the court today that had that same type of impact. I know Niang tried and they tried different matchups, but it was a tough out. And I thought Tobias, for the most part, does a good job on him. So they definitely missed him tonight on defense.
Are we? Oh, go ahead, Justin.
No, it's okay. You're good.
Are we surprised a little bit that Paul Reed only played 4 minutes in this game?
Yeah, I am. Because go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. You're good.
You're good. One thing that I noticed from the Bulls game is that he had Paul Reed on DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, and he did
well. Watched that game against the Bulls. He really impacted DeRozan shooting. And I thought that, again, Reed could have been a guy that he could have used on Julius Randle to try to alter some shots. Granted, he's probably looking for some more offense, but at that point, you got to try something, man, because Julius Randle was going off in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, he. Speaking of matchups, Paul Reed held DeMar DeRozan just 11 points as the primary defender that entire game on Saturday. So I'm shocked he only played 4 minutes. 4 minutes.
Something I feel like that made a difference in this game in comparison to the last is that it was a lot of like drive and kick type basketball instead of like something I've noticed about Paul Reed is when he's at the 5, he plays the best when it comes – he's really good at defending the pick and roll. He gets his hands in there. He's long. He's kind of like Drummond in a way in the pick and roll where he can get his arms in there and deflect passes and all that stuff. He did that in the G League as well. I think that his value is a lot less on the defensive end when it's a lot of like one-on-one and he has to get super physical with a guy because Paul Reed can typically get above some guys because he's long, but once you get a guy like Taj Gibson in there or Julius Randle in there who can really put a body on you and who don't just play with length, but they play physicality down low, I think that diminishes his play a little bit. That's just something I've noticed with physical, like really physical centers in him. He's not that strong, like down low.
So here's the question I had because I had this thought when I was watching him against the Bulls. I think that Paul Reed's role in the NBA is actually as a wing, not.
Yeah, I think you tweeted about that. Did you tweet about that?
I might have. I don't remember.
Okay, I remember seeing something.
I mean, you watch this guy move, and I'm like, this guy's like Jeremy Grant. Like he's not Rashawn Holmes.
Yeah.
So I think that the Sixers may be better off moving him to the wing. Because you can clearly see his movement skills impacting bigger guards. Like it was a problem. DeMar DeRozan was physically bothered by Paul Reed. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, he had.
Was he bothered by his movement or his length?
His presence, his length, his ability to stay with him in space, and that's something that is a very valuable asset, especially because the Sixers are missing Ben Simmons and they need more size on the wing. So you see all the rebounding numbers that they miss. It's because they're small on the wing, and Paul Reed is a sizable body. Mm-hmm. But you got to do more on offense, and Paul Reed brings close to zero offensive game right now, and that's a problem. And I think that's why he doesn't play.
Kia Deneen, I am not gonna. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Says having Matisse Thybulle would have made a difference. Quint Moore says I would never like Shake Milton.
He went from not liking Ben to not liking Shake.
Petronius says rebounding is the issue. Despite a great effort, Sixers got out rebounded badly. That has been the trend all season long. The Clever says, I agree with you guys. Paul Reed should have been out there more tonight. His size could have helped.
See, RJ wasn't necessarily like he says it would have helped against like RJ and Randall. Randall, I could see. RJ though, like I don't know. I don't feel like he was that big of a problem tonight to the Sixers.
Pedro says Maxey has 165 minutes in the last 4 games and only 2 turnovers. In the last 7 games, including the 6-game win streak, Maxey has 40 assists to 11 turnovers. 40 assists to 11 turnovers. And Thiago, you can talk a little bit about like his assists, points created, because it is like ridiculously good compared to the rest of the NBA right now. He's literally like among the tops of the tops in terms of creating for others.
Yeah, I mean, it's in a bunch of different ways, and that's been a big upgrade from Ben Simmons at the point guard position, because one of Ben Simmons' biggest flaws is his turnover rate, and the Sixers are generating more possessions, even though they're not playing as fast, for the reasons that Pedro stated, which is Maxey's not turning the ball over. So in the open court, Ben is a turnover machine. Maxey's not. Operating the pick and roll, same thing. So Yeah, I mean, Maxey still has some growth to do, obviously, as a playmaker, but his presence on the ball and Seth Curry's presence on the ball have been key to getting that turnover rate down.
The one thing I will say about Maxey that is a detriment in comparison to Simmons is the total and fast break points. Something I've really noticed is that difference. The Sixers had 5 points tonight in fast breaks.
That's crazy.
And they had a pretty good amount of steals of forced turnovers against the Knicks. And so, to me, there are areas where they should be able to capitalize a little bit more. And to me, like the biggest play that I can remember was, I think, Tyrese Maxey. It was when he jetted across the lane and stole the ball when they were trying to throw it down to the paint where Julius Randle was. He goes down the court and he just threw it to Seth Curry a little too early. If he drives down to the basket a little bit long, takes a little bit more time, and lets Seth Curry get to the corner, that helps get a way more efficient shot for Seth. And that little things like that I think over time Tyrese will realize, rather than trying to get the ball to the guy real fast and give it a second. I think that comes with experience, but that is a big difference that I've seen throughout the season so far with Tyrese Maxey at point in comparison to Ben.
Thomas says, I didn't watch the game. Can you summarize? The Sixers were without their top scorers, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, Matisse Thybulle, Isaiah Joe. The list goes on. And the Sixers showed a lot of fight tonight. It was a brutal second quarter. The Sixers chipped back in that third quarter. At the end of the day, it seemed like every single time the Sixers had an answer and were ready to take the lead, the Knicks came back, bang, with a three. Julius Randle, RJ Barrett. That just continued throughout the second half. And Julius Randle just took over with 10 points there in a few minutes there in the fourth quarter. That was really the difference. Sixers shots did not follow. You guys want to touch on the refs because we're getting some comments here. With God E says, do you guys think the NBA has it out on us? I don't go that route. I just think Sixers didn't make their shots. Do you guys have any input on that real quick?
I'll go first there. I truly think that those foul calls wouldn't have mattered as much to people if the Sixers were actually hitting shots. Like Sixers hit shots at a terrible rate tonight, like a terrible rate. Furkan was missing, Tyrese was missing, Georges Niang was missing, Danny Green was missing. Like all the guys that are above that, like shoot, pretty much every guy that shoots above 40% tonight did not. So it was one of those nights, and of course the fouls are going to look even worse at that time. But I think overall there was bad calls all around.
You know how many fouls the Knicks were called for tonight?
I can look real quick.
18. You know how many the Sixers were? 13.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be missed calls throughout the game. I never look at the refs unless there's a very specific miss in a very critical point of the game. And that was not what happened tonight at all.
Exactly. I was about to say the same thing. It's not like these fouls were like the reason the Sixers lost the game. Like, it's not like they happened at the end of with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter and there was a bunch of bad calls. I would actually argue there was more calls that went the Sixers' way towards the end of this game, in my opinion. Seth Curry, I think, drew like 2 fouls in like 2 different possessions back to back. So I don't.
There was that Maxey one at the rim, which I could have seen.
That one. Yeah, but also they did hit ball first, in my opinion. The ball got hit first, and then there was contact, which is called a foul at times. So you can argue that point, I guess. But I don't know. I think I've seen worse things not called.
And speaking of like not hitting shots, Georges Niang had his first bad game in a long time. The dude was literally 1 of 7 or 1 of 8 from the field in the first half, which is he ended up with 15 points. He had a really strong second half. But there it is. The shots just were not falling tonight.
But can we talk about how it's so refreshing to see a guy that not only yes, he was missing his 3-point shots tonight. But is it not refreshing that a guy can still be of value just when he's not hitting shots? Like if Mike Scott, who was at your backup for 3 years before, the past 3 years, was missing 3-pointers, he's off the court.
Yeah,
because he can't do anything else.
Well, he should have been on the court.
Georges Niang was covering Julius Randle what seemed to be the whole end of this game.
Yeah.
and was getting his on offense, and in a lot of ways was a big reason they were still in this game. So that's my opinion. I don't know.
We're gonna have to change your Twitter handle to J_Niang within the next
I
few
can
weeks.
just I appreciate bench guys that give a lot of effort. That's what I like. What's one of my favorite things to see. If you're a bench guy and you play your role right and you give all your effort and you're wild out there, like that's what I like. And so I'm a big fan.
The difference in body language between Niang and Mike Scott is like
nuts.
Scott was like a walking morbid body out there, just like going through the vibes.
All right.
And Niang is like getting the crowd fired up.
Dude, I love it.
I didn't call Mike Scott a walking morbid body.
I mean, that's what it felt like, an empty suit out there, just freaking pretending that he was playing basketball.
Yeah, George Niang was 1 of 8 from 3. 1 of 8 from the field, 0 of 4 from 3 in the first half, and he was only a -3 in this game. So the dude is awesome. I love his energy off the bench. It's terrific. Jonathan Kent says Niang is a real upgrade over Mike Scott. Do we want to touch on the Jaylen Brown, Ben Simmons trade rumors or move on?
Who's Jay Len? Because I don't know who that is.
I say let's talk about this game. Let's talk about this game.
We that can be a separate pod, and that could be something we talk about another time. We'll save that for you guys can talk about that on oh my goodness, a cup of Joe or something.
Yeah.
Steven says Milton, Curry, and Maxey had tired legs, which is funny because the Knicks played last night, right? And you watched that first half, you would think it was the exact opposite. The Sixers looked clearly like the slower, more tired team. They got beat, like Justin said, 18-5 fast break points in that first half. They were just getting run off the court.
But the Curry thing, I don't think was so much as tired legs as the fact that the Knicks are very big on the wing. So you could really see him struggle. Yeah, a few times he was lined up and you could see him just hesitate because these guys are so big and so long. So he struggled in the first game too against the Knicks. Size is going to be a problem for him.
Yeah, let's remember that Javon Carter gave him trouble, and he's obviously bigger than Seth because Seth's like 6 foot tall. Like you look at just about every guy that has some size on him that they put on him, he struggles with if he can't get him shifted off the dribble. And Seth Curry has a very flat jump shot. For being the small player that Seth Curry is, he does have a very flat jumper, which is not typical of guys that are like that size. Look at Steph Curry, look at Fred VanVleet, all of them, the way they shoot. Kemba Walker, a lot of their jump shots, they jump up really high in the air or they have a super high arc or both. So Seth just it's when he can't get open off the dribble, he struggles.
Yeah. All right, let's roll on. Well, first of all, Kia says guys are coming up short on their shots. More like being the legs were tired. They were playing a lot of minutes.
They also had 8. They only played 8 guys.
It's unbelievable.
So that's going to happen.
Yeah, proud of our guys. They fought. Let's roll on the quick player of the game and wrap it up. Obviously, for me, I'm going to go Drummond. That is probably the way too easy answer. Again, in that third quarter, 3 points, 9 rebounds, 2 blocks was a key cog to that Sixers 28 run that got them back in this game, especially defensively. By far, the Sixers' best quarter was in that third quarter defensively, and that's when Andre Drummond he had 2 blocks. He was just all over the place, creating for others as well. So, Thiago, who is your player of the game?
I mean, Drummond's obviously the pick, but I'm going to go with Korkmaz because he really was able to keep the Sixers somewhat afloat in that first half. Without Korkmaz, this isn't even a game because the Knicks really put a foot on the gas in the first half, and Korkmaz's shot making was the reason why they were in the second half. So props to him, man. He's been phenomenal. And that Bulls game that we talked about on Saturday, it was a lot of him in the fourth quarter, man. A lot of Korkmaz in the fourth quarter, clutch moments of the game, playing with high confidence level, does not hesitate to shoot, handles the ball, plays, admirable defense. So he's been a joy to watch so far this year. I really nothing but respect for him because you can clearly see he's working on his game, and that's a very valuable thing to have on the team.
Here's a play. This is a good one that's going to be on my highlight reel.
Great block out there and a two-handed rebound. Korkmaz, the Hezzy, and the team moves.
He's so good.
Yeah, that was on RJ Barrett, right? If I remember
Yeah.
correctly. Yeah,
Dude, like his ball handling has been the improvement on his ball handling has been outstanding, man. Just totally in control.
To me, the ball handling was always there. To me, the problem is he could never he was never able to be physical enough to create space to be able to get the ball handling, like to feel confident enough in it. I think that he's finally been like, okay, screw it. I'm going to put on some muscle. I'm going to put on some muscle and just say, screw it, get in the paint and just do my thing. I feel like he's had the dribble. I think it's more the size and the just want to that has got him there.
Ben Butler says Korkmaz haters from last year take note.
I'm one of those guys.
I'll always call it out. But Petronius says great effort by the Sixers. They need Toby and Matisse back. A Facebook post says Korkmaz is number 2 in fourth quarter points. I believe that. I would 100% believe that. He's had a few moments here this season just going crazy in the fourth quarter. Justin, who's your player of the game?
My player of the game, I'm going to go across the aisle right here. I'm going to go Emmanuel quickly.
Nice.
He seemed to just make genuinely.
You're going to start picking other teams' player of the game now?
Listen, you guys took my 2 ones that I was going to take, so I'm going on the other side. Emmanuel quickly to me was the role player of this game for the Knicks. He went 3 of 4 from the field, 10 points on 15 minutes, but every shot he hit was a big shot, in my opinion, at the end of this game.
Shout out Nadir. Oh, man, I'm missing Nadir.
For those who don't know, that is an inside joke for TPL. Nadir, I don't know where he went, but he was a constant show up for our Sixers live streams during last year's pandemic. And, man, he loves himself some Furkan. Let's just say that. He loves himself some Furkan.
We miss you, Nadir. We miss you.
Yes. But no, I genuinely think Emmanuel quickly hit a lot of big shots throughout this game. Every shot that he hit was a big deal. He hit him when the ball rotated to him. That's what you got to do as a role player. So I think he's going to be a good player in this league, genuinely.
All right, let's wrap it up. We're already 32 minutes in. Justin, lead us off, man. Where can we find you? What do you got going on, man?
You can find me at J_Persichetti on Twitter. I'm the Blue Coats reporter for the Painted Lions right here. Actually, I was just at this game this past Saturday, if you were checking out my tweets. And fun fact, Shamari Pons, who got drafted number 1 overall in the NBA G League draft, literally told me that he did not know he got drafted until he got he did not know he got drafted until he got a text from Diallo. Remember can't say his first name.
Hamidou Diallo?
Yes, Hamidou Diallo. Got a text from him congratulating him, and he had no idea why.
That's so funny.
He went to St. John's, right?
Yes.
Or his agent. Shouldn't come from your agent, man. Sorry, bro.
I don't know, but I thought that was a funny little fun fact because I was like, who? Like, you're literally involved in the draft. You had no idea you got picked. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, okay, guess
how did he look? Did he look good? Good?
Yeah, he looked really good. They won by like 20 points. They look good. Shaq Harrison had 25.7 rebounds and 4 assists on really good. I think it was like a plus 20 something. Like, it was ridiculous. It was a great game. You would have loved it. I also got to see Cam Thomas, the draft pick who went right before Jaden Springer. And I'll tell you what, he bucket.
Yeah.
35, he had 35 points or 37 points or something like that in a loss. But, man, that man can score.
That guy's going to light up the G League, man. That guy's going to light it up. Jonathan Kent says Nadir's wife gave birth to twins. And if you're watching Nadir, congratulations. I don't know if that's true or not. Oh, wait, Jonathan said he's joking. All right, all right, I take it back. All right, Thiago, what do you got going on, man?
My wife gave birth to twins. No, I'm just joking. We're checking me out at T-Skype on Twitter. We did the Morning Cup with Joe, break the game down in more detail. And,
big fan. I listen to it every morning in the shower. I'm getting ready for work.
Yeah, man, we put a lot of work in that. It's an early rise on that one, so check that out.
Awesome. Go follow my man over there. He is Justin at J_Persichetti. at J_Niang. And then my man Tiago at T Scavia for Justin for Tiago.
Go follow. No. Go follow Dives.
Yeah,
I
he's
hate
good,
this.
man.
Dives never shouts himself out. Go follow
He
Dives.
should.
That Mr. Crockpot on Twitter, dude. Man does everything, covers everything, posts everything. It's phenomenal. It's a
All
phenomenal.
you need in the morning is follow one account. By like 6:30 in the morning, you have all the stats that you need from yesterday's video.
Honestly,
You don't even need to follow anybody else. For 6.
Nope. You can go follow Dive. If you go follow Dives and the Painted Lines YouTube, you pretty much have the hub for Eagles and Sixers. Like that's like all you need. If you want to watch highlights or just know any sort of stat, just follow both those.
Yeah,
you're good.
I appreciate that, guys. Like Quentin Moore says, smash that like button, guys. Please be sure to subscribe. If you're new to the channel, please hit that notification button so you don't miss any of our content. For Justin, for Tiago, for myself, stay awesome, everybody.